Hey, once again, another shout out for Acid Rootz. He's got questions, y'all. He wants to know what was our plans for the Outlaw album. He also wants to know what would have been the first single. Two great questions. Listen, all your questions will be answered coming soon. Outlaw series coming to a TV screen near you. Stay tuned.
You know, it pays to be a fan of a musician sometimes. Doesn't always turn out in the most perfect sense of the word. This is what happens when you wait patiently and don't ask questions.
Change? Shit. I guess change is good for any of us. Whatever it take for any of y'all niggas to get up out the hood. Shit, I'm with ya. I ain't mad at ya. Got nothing but love for ya. Do you think?
To be fair, I do see some of the light of what E.D.I is trying to say as far as talking about those questions that I asked probably were not worth just 30, 25 bucks. So that's kind of the situation, to say that they're worth a little bit more than that, seeing the light in that. But at the same time, I mean, you have to, I mean, I do feel like we're going to reach a point where like moss starts growing moss by the time some of these questions kind of come to light. And that's kind of the thing. I mean, you look at it, the way that some of this junk is kind of gone, I mean, these sorts of things just kind of become myth. And this is, you know, all these urban legends you hear about, the stuff that Tupac does and the kind of majestic kind of atmosphere of everything. And it's just kind of like, you know, you think of like people, it's kind of like with Chuck Norris. I mean, the difference between, yeah, I mean, that's just kind of the thing. Tupac is kind of like Chuck Norris, where it's like, oh, did you hear that? You know, he actually got like Bruce Lee in a chokehold or some shit like that, and he, you know, he used to be able to lift like 500 pounds. I mean, that's kind of the fables that are going on with it. Is it's like Tupac, we don't know, we don't know. That's the thing. What they did in 1996, it's a complete mystery. We keep that under lock and key, but. And I wouldn't, you know, it's not even like I'm offended by this sort of situation. I don't want to misconstrue the idea that, like, I'm insulted by it, because it's not really of the light. I simply get the idea that, you know, enough time has passed to where some of these answers probably shouldn't be held on to, like, you know, held on. I mean, you would think when you say that's the $1,000,000 question, I mean, I think some of these secrets are maybe wrapped a little bit too tightly. The concept of money is a little bit too much on the brain at this point. But that's just kind of the situation. I mean, you would think from that general standpoint to be able to say that, but I don't know. You would think, you know, it's like, hey, if you were worth $800,000 and someone wanted to get a secret out of you, one of your prized secrets for 25 bucks, what would you do? And I'm kind of like, well, you know, I would say if I was going to make the money, I would have made it by now. That's kind of the thing. And it's just like, well, you look at it that way, you look at it that way. It's kind of the situation. But, you know, this is it's mostly just a communicable disagreement, I would have to say. But I'm not shook over the situation, because I look at what the Outlawz have done, and I still say that it has caused an impact. So I think as far as that's concerned, I'm still going to listen to songs like Letter to the President and Secrets of War and Still I Rise and those type records. But that's just kind of the thing. I mean, I look at it and I say that sort of situation, it just becomes that sort of a mystery, just to kind of say, well, I know that we're working on something back in that day, back in 1996, to sit there and say, well, you just have to, I mean, does it not, I mean, and I ask you, the viewers, does it not kind of perturb you to sit there and wonder, what were you doing back then? I mean, that's the thing. I don't know, and I just would have to, I would simply have to say that Tupac's legacy probably would not be slighted from such an advantage. But, you know, yours truly Cyan Jackal Gold Kick inquired about such a situation to try to bring you a more adept research on the subject, but it seems as if the flows of time are not ready to disrupt those secrets. The magic heirs say this shall not be. Like Gandalf, this shall not pass. But this is kind of the situation. So we try to shed some new light on Tupac, but it's not, those waters are not as easily rifted. Just know that.
Well, I would probably say that what's the point of announcing or promising an idea when it's never going to happen if it's just a couple of soon